Hello guys and welcome to another video. I'm Imphenzia and back in the day I used to make music. That's actually how I got started and that's where the name Imphenzia comes from. I came up with that name in 1997 I think as I googled, or that was before Google actually, I web crawled or whatever it was then. Was it Alta Vista or something? So I searched for something random that I hit on the keyboard which happened to be Imphenzia because I needed a name for my music, like an artist name. So I just punched in Imphenzia, I don't know where it came from, and it had 0 returns, 0 hits on the internet. So I thought that's going to be my name, that's what I'm going to be using. Because then if I search on the internet, I'll know that most likely stuff will have come from me at some point. And then I found that a lot of people started to use the name for no particular reason. Bringing back those roots of mine where I used to make music and then I realized I couldn't really make much money on it because music, I don't know why it doesn't sell. Maybe it's because my music isn't that good, but I liked it and I still like it a little bit. So I listened to it. Sad enough. You might have noticed in my videos that my outro has got a bit of a song that I'm really happy with. It's called First One, and I composed that one. It's called First One because I switched from Cubase to PreSonus Studio One. The first track that I made in that one was this one, so I just unimaginatively enough called it First One. I've had some questions to go through some music tutorials and I want to get to that at some point, but at this moment I won't be able to do a tutorial, but I thought, hey, I could show a little bit how I arranged this track, how I put this one together. Usually when I make a song, it'll take me about maybe 6 or 8 hours to make a full track, but that's not the full truth, nothing but the truth. It's because maybe I'll have like 10 goes where I fail to create anything at all. So I guess I have to count those times that I fail because that gains experience. And then at the end, I'll strike something that I like and it'll turn out to be a track. So with that said, I've loaded up my First One project and I was quite surprised to see that because I composed this on a different computer and all of my VSTs that I'd reinstalled, I had pretty much all of them installed except from Spectrasonic's Omnisphere. So I just installed that one from a bunch of old DVDs that I had. And that was the only VST that was missing. So I've installed that one. Everything's up and running now. So I was just going to go take you through the track a little bit. It's really Amiga inspired. I love the music back from the demo scene back in the 90s. Super inspired by that, and I try to capture those vibes. On the Amiga, there was a program called Pro Tracker, and you could have 4 channels of audio, and usually I think 2 were left and 2 were right ear. You could play samples, and you created patterns, and I actually started making music using a tracker as well, but that was for the PC. It was called Fast Tracker 2, and that supported up to 32 channels instead. So quite a big difference, but people came up with some amazing music back in the day. One of my favorite ones called Space Debris by Captain. You should search for that one. It's on YouTube somewhere, so search for that one. Awesome track. Remember, that one was made with just 4 channels, so I won't be able to go through this whole track, so I'm going to pick a little section of this one. This is the part where my outro goes for all my Imphenzia videos, so we can listen to that part here. Okay, let's grab this section here. I'm going to grab a bunch of bars here. And again, this is not a tutorial. I just want to show a little bit how I come up with music. And usually I start by creating something that's going to be in the center of the song. So I don't start with the intro, I don't start with the outro, and I just try to find maybe either a melody or a beat and a bass. Let's just go through channel by channel, I think, so you can hear what it sounds like. And let's just isolate now. So I've got the drum beat here. And this is with a native instruments called Battery. So the drums are super simple here. If I solo this track out, I'll just press play here. That's all it does. And I think I've got a little bit of a break thing coming up here as well. And I don't really use a drum. I've got some drum pads and things like that, but I usually just sequence these and they sound really static, but I like the computer style music. I don't really like natural drummer style. I need it to be perfectly aligned on every split second here. We can actually click on this little thing so you can see what the VST instrument sounds like. So this is the one, if I play it. got this kick here, and let's see what else was I playing. This little hi-hat and some snares. When I sequence this stuff, usually just click it in, and I sort of know by the piano roll here what it's going to sound like. So here's the kick, and here's the snare, and the hi-hat. And it's as simple as that. The second one is, here's a bass sound. Let's check this one out. I have to change. And this one is by Tone 2's Electra 2, and a bass, just a laser bass here. And all this one does is make a bass line. Super simple. And funny enough, I don't really know much about music at all. When I create music, I go by what it sounds like. And I don't really know the rules of what's it even called, like fifth and major and minor and stuff. I have no clue about that. The only thing I really know about this part is that I play C. This one's C here. And it just toggles up and down the bass every, let's see, eighth of a note, or is it every, well, I have to check here. Oh yeah, every eighth. I said it. It's been a long time since I made music. So every eighth, it just goes from C on octave 2 here to C on octave 3, and it just toggles that up and down. And then it drops down to, okay, I don't even know what this one's called. G sharp, G flat, G sharp. Anyway, the black key above G. So I think it's called G sharp or something. And then I drop it down to a F. And then we bring it back up to, let's see, G. And if you just check this bass line out, that's all it sounds like. And if I enable this, the drums as well. And it just repeats like this. Pretty much the whole track, it just repeats those four, whatever it's called, notes. Okay, I'm doing good here. So, see, I'm the imposter. I have no clue what I'm talking about. When I make music, like I said, I just, I use this piano roll, and I punch these in just, like, just key them in like this. Ding, 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 ding. And then I listen to it. Press space, and I listen to it. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty good, I think. So the next sound here, just to get that chip style C64/Amiga sound, it's also from Tone 2, and it's called Nemesis, and it's got a little sound here called the chip octave, MF. And you can see, I think I've just copied, have I just copied? No, this is goes a bit similar here, but it's got C, and then it goes up one octave to C, and then it goes down again, and then it goes up to G. So it's just a slight difference from the bass line. But it follows the same notes pretty much. You can hear this one transforms a little bit as well, and you can see that I've got a little graph here, and it's not that little, it's pretty big. Just graphing out the modulation wheel on my keyboard here, which I don't really use that much. It's got a mod wheel that you can pull up, and some of the patches or some of the instruments will transform the sound, and usually it's like changing the cutoff frequency or something on a filter. So it goes from this bright one when the mod wheel is down, and then here, as the mod wheel is modified with this graph, it just cuts off the upper frequencies and transforms it to a darker sound. Pretty cool. I like that sort of transform stuff. Okay, so these three together sounds like this. Okay, let's check out the next thing. Here is... Okay, so this is a bit of a lead thing. Again, it's Tone 2's Electra 2, and this one's C64 Pulse Width Modulation Legato MF multi-frequency. I have no clue what that stands for. Usually, I don't really make many patches myself. I use a lot of the presets that come with it. So if I just play a note here on this one, it'll sound like this. And legato means that it'll slide up, so if I press two keys, it glides up, I think. And the pulse modulation, pulse. If I slide the mod wheel, it makes changes the pulse width, I think. This one's got a little bit more of a melody to it, and but again, it's sequenced. I haven't recorded it. As you can see, these are perfectly aligned and quantized. It's called when they're aligned on the bars there. So let's check this out though. You can see that it follows still. We've got a lot of C's here and G's and D sharps. So I've sort of just learned over time that what keys sound good with each other, what notes. I should have probably studied it instead, but I play a little bit on the keyboard, again, just from listening to it. And I sort of learned which notes work together. So I've learned that with C, this combination here works pretty good. And then it's just a whole bunch of eighth. And I like to scale things going up and down as a melody, and then do some faster notes here. These are 16ths instead. So they just have a little melody to it. We can check this one out a little bit on its own. You can hear that legato thing, or sometimes it's called glide or portamento, and you can see this one note here. It's got a note there and it glides up to this one, and if I play this one, you can hear that. That's a slide. That was also very commonly used back in the Amiga days. I think for in the trackers there were some functions that you could do to glide the notes. So I love that style. And this one together with the previous tracks. Okay, let's check out the next thing. As you can see, I used pretty much the same VST instruments all over the place. Electra 2 by Tone 2, I tend to have liked on this one. Nemesis, that's also the Tone 2 one. Got Ray Blaster, that's also Tone 2. And then I've come to some other ones here as well. Let's check this one out. This one is a bit of a cheating one because this one is an arpeggio. And some of the patches here, if I check this one out. If I hold the key down, you can hear that it's actually sequenced in some repeating notes here. And it's a patch called C64 down arp. So arp stands for arpeggio. And so with it making those little climby sounds or scaling sounds, I can just keep the note pressed here. So I go the same thing here, same as the bass line, but I just drag one single whole note out the whole measure here, or the whole bar. So I go from C and then I drop it down to the black key above G, and then drop it down to F and then go up to G. And then I just repeat that, just like the bass line. So if I bring these together. Usually when I make music, I layer a lot of stuff, and I think that's a bit of a sign, like when you don't really know what you're doing, you tend to layer a lot of stuff just to blur it out and cover all the mistakes. So that's pretty much how I make music. You should really spend quite a lot of time equalizing these things and mastering it so that certain instruments like cut out a lot of frequencies so they don't compete each other. And you should do a lot of, it's called side chaining, to basically lower the volume on everything when the drum beat hits. So that's very important to do in electronic music. And I don't do that. I should really be doing it, but I tend to not do it. And maybe I'm just too lazy and I want to get the track out when I'm happy with it. So plus I don't know all the fancy stuff. All right, so next one, let's see what we've got here. So let's mute these. Okay, just another sound. Nemesis patch again. It's called Chip Octave MF. And surprise, surprise, you'll see that it follows exactly the same keys, but I just do it on the offbeat here as well. So every other eighth, I do the same. And I just repeat it over and over again. So together, let's check it out. We can try it without the maybe drums as well. That's what it sounds like. All right, so next one. Okay, a bit of a more melody again as well. So again, just manually sequenced with notes that pretty sound much good with the with the bass line. And one thing that's important on this one, I guess, is that I'm alternating between on the beat and off the beat here. This one's off the beat, and if it's right on this bar here, or on this line, on this bar, Oh, I don't even know. On this note, you know, it comes, I alternate that a little bit to break it up, so make it sound a little bit more interesting. Maybe we should try that one with this one first of all. Oh yeah, this one is actually, I remember now, this one is an ARP really, called Jump Up. It's the Electra 2 as well, but I don't use it as an ARP. If I hold the key, you can hear that it keeps repeating, and if I hold 2 keys, I'll have to slide my keyboard out. You can play with the keyboard here. Maybe I should record it. So this is the cheating with ARPs, so you can just hold the keys down like this. You can really cheat using those ARPs, but it's still a bit difficult. People tend to think that, well, it's just an ARP. You could just make a whole song by pressing a key, but it's a little bit more to it than that when you have to combine everything, I suppose. And I don't really use that one as an ARP. If you can see when I play this one, it becomes a bit like an echo as it starts hitting the second note on the ARP, I think. So that's the way I use it. All right, next one. Oh yeah, here's the lead melody, I suppose. And here's a graph, the modulation wheel, and also master volume. That one's just carrying on the same note there. I suppose this one, with the longer melodies that aren't so fast like this, you could record it if I delete those. And then I'll try to play it in on the key if I can even remember what note it was. Let's see. I'm terrible at hitting the notes, as you can see. My timing is awful, so usually I don't really record it like this. I usually just punch it in here using this piano roll here. So I just create these notes like this instead. Because I don't really like to fix it. This is the one I recorded now, so you can see all the beats are off. And there are some tricks that you can do to quantize this. So don't even remember which hotkey it is or anything like that. But if I press this one, maybe Q and quantize it to there, maybe. Let's try it. Let's listen to it once on its own, just. And if you don't want the glide, I'll just make that shorter. And here's how much off I am on all the stuff here. I'll have to go and fix all of this. And if I just cut these off like this, don't usually want the glide. Sometimes I want it, but not all the time. So let's see. And sometimes I do this as well. So instead of having that glide straight away like this, I usually do it like this. So it releases the note and then it glides it up here. That one's off as well. So now you can see why I pretty much sequence it instead of record it. So let's try it with the music. Okay, I was off with a few notes there, but let's just cancel all of this now. Let's bring it back to the way it should be. And here you can see all the notes are perfectly the right length here, since I've sequenced them in instead. And here's the little glide that I talked about. That usually I release the note and then I press the same key again and then I glide it up. So this is what that one sounds. Okay, I spent a lot of time on that one. Let's check out the next sound here. Okay, here's an old DX replica sound from the old DX synth. So, bit of a, let's see, what is it called? Atmos, a pluck sound and Atmos. So this is big style 80s type of music, the Yamaha DX7, was it? And you can see that I love scaling stuff just up and down. So when I've got the C as the bass key here, and then I've got the... I just scale like this if I go slowly. And again, I haven't played this on the keyboard. I just punch these in little 16th notes here. So I go... You'll find it in a lot of my tracks. I do this. I go from C to G, is it? To C, and then I do a little D and D sharp there. And then I just go down. And then I twist it a little bit like this, so I can... just to get a little melody, so... Okay, and again, with everything that... let's play the things together now. Just put all of them together, one by one. Okay, I think we're just about covering most of the stuff out. Let's check what we've got left here. I love these little scaling, I don't know what it's called. It's just playing the scales up and down, up and down, up and down in harmony. Let's see, what's this? Here's another Electra sound. Okay, more bells. Let's see what the patch is called. It is called Sparkling Bells, BT. So again, quite retro sounding, if you ask me. Maybe that's one. Cute. All right, and this one. Let's see what this is. Just doubling, I think this one. This is the same one, isn't it? Yeah, so just to get more atmosphere to it, I often do this. So I just, when I've sequenced this in, I hold the Alt key and I just slide it down to somewhere with a new patch or a new sound. And then I double it up just to make it sound like it's escalating or like that it's climbing in intensity. Usually towards the end, you can see this is towards the end of the track. I tend to add these things. So, and let's just, without combining those, let's just check what this is as well. This one is another lead. This is a ReFX Nexus. I love this one. This got a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of all these add-ons I purchased for it here. But this was one of the dance leads, the original ones. So that comes without the expansion. I've had this for years, like at least 10 years, 12, I don't know. So this one's called Theme Init, and this is exactly duplicated, I think. Yeah, exactly the same as this one. Again, I've just held the Alt key and I slid that down to a new patch here. And these two doubled up. Let's just play these leads together, actually. So we've got the Electra lead, we've got Omnisphere. You can see that it's actually still called Electra here. It's because I just literally copied and pasted it here. So these three together are playing the same. So let's just listen to those. Oh, this one is playing it after, isn't it? Oh, that one's doing something different. I didn't even notice that. That sounds wrong in my ears, but I guess when you blur it all together, it sort of works. And that's it. That's all the stuff going here. So let's just play all of it together then one more time, I guess. You can see all of these working together here. So when I make a track, I usually make a section like this, like a slice in the song itself. And when I'm happy with it, that's when I expand it into a longer track. I do that by removing some of these. I'll copy this section that I created. This is very similar to what I'd create as just a slice of the track. And then I'd copy this section to the one before here. I'll move it along, and then I'll just remove some sounds. So I'll take a few of these doubled up leads, because if you can hear here, very similar, but it steps up in intensity as I start introducing and doubling up these sounds here. You can see. A trick that I use, I don't know if you can call it a trick, but something I do sometimes is when you hear this lead here, I'll change the modulation here. So it fades away to become something a little bit different. But as I fade this one away, I introduce a new lead. So this one comes in, if I just play this one. And when those are played together, it usually sounds as one is fading or transforming into a different sound and a brand new one comes in. I usually like that type of effect. So it's playing exactly the same notes here. It's just a different instrument and changing the modulation a little bit, or the cutoff frequency usually. Okay, and so when I've done that, and I've got a few sections like this, I usually try to find a breakdown part. So then I'd probably find something totally different. So if we check, this one again is very similar to what's going on here, but I've taken away some of the bells going up and down here. So if you check the earlier part of the track there, very similar, but it's missing this sound here. Let's see. So this part before here, again, it's just copied this, and to reduce the intensity, to densify it, to reduce the intensity, I remove a few more patches. So as you can see, that one's not playing there. And the reason I do this is because I want to build the track up so it culminates into something quite energetic towards the end here. So this one's very similar part here, but I have a breakdown here in the middle, so we can listen to how it enters it. So just a different drum beat here and a different bass, just some claps as well. And then simple bass, some simple melody, a lot less going on. And then I start to gradually build it up for the end part of the track here as well. So here's a patch that I think just glides up with the modulation wheel again. This one is called Sci-Fi Rise Up 3 by Electra 2 again. Another patch there. And then let's see, what's this? Just some melodies. And then when I've created this whole section, I usually just create the start and the end. And I'm not much for creating stuff that could be DJ'd, since my music isn't really DJable. So I don't really care about the intro and the outro to make it sync with other tracks and stuff. So I tend to do ending like this. just finish it back on the C note. I think I am here. See if I can punch a C note or a few times on all the different instruments that I've got and do a little, here's the drums here, it's just, or the percussion. It's some cymbal, crash cymbals and the kick. For the intro, let's see what I did there. I can't even remember. Here we go. Okay, maybe I shouldn't just do that. Okay, it's using very much the same type of arps and melodies here. It's just much rarer on the drums here. So I just have a few, like this is what that looks like. Clap and a hi-hat or a cymbal, and then some kicks coming in. And I think I do a little sequence here with some extra stuff coming in. That's it, simple as. And the bass just goes on single notes instead, like this. So, yeah. All right, guys, there you have it. This has been a bit of a different video, I suppose, compared to my most of the stuff nowadays. So I went back to my roots a little bit and made some electronic music here, or this track I made, I think, about, I don't know, 6 years ago or something like that. So it was fun to load it up and see that it still worked, and I hope it gave you a little insight how my tracks look like when they're in the sequencer, and about my thought process, how I structure them, how I layer the different sounds, how I create a vertical slice of a track, usually towards the end of the track, the way I want it to sound for a few bars. I think this was 16 bars or 8 or something. And then usually I copy that to the earlier parts and I remove stuff from it to make it less intense so I can build up towards the end. And then I usually have a little breakdown in the middle where I remove most of the stuff. I might just have the same instruments but play them very calmly, or some long strings and pads and maybe a riser sound to build up towards the end. And then at the end, I usually kick it out with just like a kick drum, some crash cymbals, and some single notes on the bass and all the leads. And in the beginning, I usually also have a little section where I build it up as well. Maybe a simple bass note, like in this one, a simple beat, just not as rapid and flashy as the beat is later on in the track, but maybe just a kick drum, or in this case, I think it was like a clap or a hi-hat or something. And then some pads and strings and some slight melodies, and then I build it up, and then it just, that's how I do it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider putting that in the comment as well. I'd like to know if you want me to make a few more just random videos like this, either where I showcase some of my old tracks, how they were made. It could be I do a lot of different genres as well. I've even got some orchestral tracks. And some retro, totally retro game chip style music. And I've got other piano music. So give me a shout in the comments if you want to see any of those. And maybe in the future I'll make a tutorial. I have to warm up a little bit again to get back into the music. I haven't touched it for a very, very long time now. Again, hope you liked it. And until next time, take care and I'll see you then. Bye for now.